Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Off the Record with
Judah
and Kirk. And today we are talking about
Superman
and Spider-Man
and a crossover that came out 50 years ago. And we're going to compare and contrast the Marvel take that celebrates the 50 years and the DC take that celebrates the 50 years.
that came out recently. And we have videos on those already, so go check those out.
Check those
we
out
will not be going in-depth on the new ones.
More in-depth breakdown over the full narrative of those books and that stuff. Anyway, tell you about the original crossover. First of all, I have a Treasury edition, artist edition, massive blown up panels. It's beautiful. It's a work of art.
It comes out to about 100 pages because most of them it's just like a single panel
or two. Anyway, that legendary tale is written entirely by Gerry Conway. Shout out legend Gerry Conway. With art from Romita Sr, who, fantastic Spider-Man artist. Neal Adams, fantastic Superman artist. And Andru, who I don't think I've read anything outside of his pencils in the end of this from his work. But he did some Wonder Woman and Punisher stuff. And Jonah Hex. Interesting. All right. So, Kirk, would you like to break down what happens in the original book?
So we get a couple of stories to precede the main story, which are just little quick intros to the characters. And so we get one on Superman, we get one on Spider-Man, and then I believe it's kind of half and half of one on Lex Luthor and on Otto Octavius. And then like them teaming up at the end of one when they're both in prison, being like, oh, we could like join forces and take on each other's villains or each other's heroes this time around. And then we have a main story that all of them have tie into. And so really quickly we get the Superman one, which is essentially he's just going up against Lex Luthor. He's got this little robot thing. Though he doesn't know that it's Lex Luthor yet, he thinks it's just kind of some random robot, which, I mean, if I were Superman, I would just always assume it's Lex Luthor, and I think he eventually does. But in this, he doesn't. And so he takes it down, and Luthor escapes. He goes about his life for a bit, but then he realizes, oh, wait. I don't remember exactly how he realizes, but he realizes, oh, wait, that's probably Luthor. Let me go find him. And then he does, and then he stops him. But not before Luthor is able to get this little thing that he was after the whole time through this pneumatic tube, which I don't know how that works when you're in a submarine because it's not exactly connected to a pneumatic tube network, but sends it so that he can retrieve it after he breaks out of prison the next day. Then we get the Otto Octavius one, which is, I don't remember. Do you remember?
It's a classic tale. Otto stealing something. Spider-Man stops him and ties him up and then gets pictures and then swings away.
I don't remember that at all. But they both end up in prison. And so
in the same prison.
Otto is in there first, and then Lex shows up later. And we get brief scene of them being like, oh, let's work together. I think Octavius knows who Luthor is, but Luthor does not know who Octavius is. But they're like, oh yeah, we'll team up and I'll get us out of here by tomorrow. And he's like, okay, great. And then Judah, the main brunt of the story, where all of these kind of tie into.
Yeah. So you never guess what happens. They think that Superman thinks Spider-Man has taken Lois. Because, of course, a guy called Spider-Man has to be a villain. And Spider-Man thinks Superman has taken...
Saw.
Well, yeah, debatably. Mary Jane. So, guess what happens? They fight.
Yes.
It's the battle of the century.
Yeah, and they've, the villains have, like, juiced Spider-Man a little bit here without him knowing, really so that he's, like, actually able to throw punches against Superman, which is fun to watch.
Because this is Bronze Age Superman, who is ridiculously overpowered and can move a planet with his pinky.
Like we see later when he's not juiced up, he tries to throw a punch and he like breaks his hand or something and doesn't even move.
Yeah, it's pretty great. Anyway, they fight. It goes well for my side, at least. I'm not sure. I think you call it a draw. We'll call it a draw, but that's not really what happened. Superman wins. That's exactly what happens. Yeah, I think Superman wins. That's my perspective on it. Anyway, they realize it's the villains, and so they have to go and work together to defeat their villains.
Yeah.
And they do.
And they go in space for a little bit.
Yeah.
because they have Lex has a little space station thing, and
Of course he does.
yeah, they take Octavius with them, and I guess they're gonna cause a lot of damage. Like they've created this little hurricane supercell thing that's causing damage, and the United States government has to send them like $1 trillion or $1 billion or whatever to stop them.
Yeah.
And so they're expecting that to happen, but then they destroyed the machine during the machine is destroyed during the fight, so they can't stop it very easily. And so Lex is like, well, sucks for them, I guess. I'm not going to stop this machine. I'll just go somewhere else and like start life on a new planet or something like that. But then to quote Star-Lord, Otto Octavius says that he's one of the idiots that lives on the planet. And so he does not want that to happen. And he briefly teams up with our heroic duo to stop this from happening. And I believe that requires destroying the space station entirely.
You're thinking of this.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, because that's Brainiac. He teams up with Brainiac because that's what happens in here, because this is Doc Ock and Brainiac.
Nope.
Because that's when Superman convinces him.
I'm not thinking of
he
that.
helps him in the end, and they catch it. Remember, that's what happens.
Okay, so that story straight up stole it from this then, because I know that that's what happens in this.
Okay. I don't remember. I know they were in space, but I thought they just like took Doc Ock there and they wrapped him up, and then they bring him back down to Earth and put him in jail.
I'm gonna find out
Superman, Spider-Man.
from. Oh, it's not there. What's it technically called?
Freaking. It's called something. It's technical difficulties, chat.
We're gonna have to cut.
Superman versus the Amazing Spider-Man.
Versus. Thank you. Superman. Versus. Let's see. Here we are. Okay. I swear I'm not looking it up online because Judah forgot to bring it. We don't do that here.
I didn't forget to bring it. I didn't know we were doing this video.
Oh. Like I said, he forgot to bring it. Okay, I doubt you guys can even hear me very well, but I don't really care. Yeah, see? They're fighting.
Yeah, but that's not because of the asteroid. That's because they turn on each other because they're villains and they can't figure out who's going to get all the glory.
Okay, hold on. I can get back behind my mic now.
Yeah, we're not cutting this.
No.
This has to stay in.
Okay, sure, fine, whatever.
Yeah.
So I can't let you do it, Luthor. The Earth is my home. Okay, see?
I did steal that in this.
Wow.
Which is actually kind of makes this better.
No, it just makes it theft.
No, it makes it better.
So, anyway, Judah doesn't know what he's talking about. I was right the whole time.
Actually, Kirk doesn't know what he's talking about. I was right the whole time.
Except for, what we're looking at right now, saying that I'm right. So, he literally says, "Dear Lord, he's mad." Otto does. "I can't let you do it, Luthor. The Earth is my home, too." And then Luthor's like, "No! And then you're destroying my programming. You blinded
interfering fool."
Yeah, and then they fight a bunch, and the tsunami is going to destroy everything, and so Superman has to Superman.
Yeah.
And
Spider-Man punches Lex Luthor, which is pretty great. And then they tie him up, and they save the day, which is pretty beautiful.
Yeah.
They also have an excellent DAP. Are we not going to talk about the DAP?
Where?
Back. Right there, the DAP.
They dap each other
They
up.
dap each other
I hope we meet again, Spider-Man. You hope.
DAP.
Don't forget me.
They do DAP.
They dap. Yeah,
It's
they
a
dap.
beautiful DAP.
Dap each other up.
And then there's an epilogue with Clark Kent and Peter Parker meeting.
Yeah.
Which I find
because in this, they don't know that they're them.
That's true.
So, which is different. Okay, so here's what we're going to do now. We're going to talk about kind of the differences and inspiration, apparently pretty big inspiration
For one
on the DC side of it.
better one of these. Let's just
on the DC side of it. Just like compare and contrast and talk about
I think we're primarily going to talk about the main stories because
that's a big difference
in this each of one builds on, which I like better. I also like, if you're like a new reader, and I guess if you're like a kid and you've only seen Superman and Super Friends on the TV and the Amazing Spider-Man and Spider-Man and his amazing friends on the TV, and you're like, Superman versus Spider-Man, they like never cross over. This is your first comic book ever. It's nice to have a little like Superman story and then a little Spider-Man story before getting your Superman. Spider-Man.
They're like introducing the characters a little bit first in this world,
which allows John Romita Sr. to work on Superman, which he rarely ever drew, and then Neal Adams to work on Spider-Man, which also rarely ever drew because Neal Adams was DC artist and DC house artist, and John Romita Jr. was the Marvel house artist.
Yeah.
So like That's great.
Yeah. But one of the biggest differences between these, the new ones, both the DC and the Marvel one, they have the main story first that takes up half of the pages. Then they have like four or five
backups.
Yeah, that are separate stories that are maybe focusing on a variant of some kind of either Superman or Spider-Man, or on people in their circles, usually their girlfriends. And just kind of getting some cameos in there and telling some different stories. Where in the old one from 50 years ago, the Superman versus the Amazing Spider-Man, which is technically actually written out Superman the Amazing versus Spider-Man. If you want to get technical about how a normal reader would look at
real technical, the title is The Greatest Superhero Team Up of All Time, The Battle of the Century, Superman the Amazing versus Spider-Man.
Yeah.
That's what it reads.
If you're reading it perfectly as a normal English reader would read something, it's like that.
That's how it reads.
It requires the knowledge to know that that is not actually how it reads. But in that one, it was, 3 or 4 stories at the beginning, and then the main story. But those stories do directly tie in to the main story.
Like I would like maybe some lesser Marvel DC crossovers that build up into the big one. Like if we do what we should probably do next is a Justice League Avengers crossover if we're swinging for big IP. But like have little crossovers that like a Wonder Woman, Captain America to build them up, or like an Iron Man. Who would Iron Man go well with? Batman?
Yeah.
Iron Man, Batman, Superman, and Thor.
Or Iron Man, Arrow.
That would just be a bunch of rich douchebags.
Green
Arrow, Daredevil.
Oh, yeah, okay. That's
what I'm saying?
Good point.
Anyway, so digging into the main stories, talking about the DC one, clearly it draws inspiration. Doc Ock is in this one. It kind of is in the same continuity, because they do make multiple references to the original in here. Yeah.
Except they know each other's identities.
Yeah, but they know each other's identities at this point in time. And also, I think Superman, when he's fighting Doc Ock, is like, I know you're reasonable from the last time. But he does knock out Doc Ock. That's what I was thinking of in this.
So they, in both of these new ones, they have a Spider-Man holding something up scene.
They do, which is pretty peak.
Which I don't think we realized on first look through, but now that we have both of them right open next to each other, Spider-Man just a couple of pages in on both.
Personally, I think Jorge Jimenez does a better job art-wise. I think Pepe Larraz's art in that is pretty fantastic.
Yeah.
But I think Jorge Jimenez just like blows it out of the water.
For sure. The art on the Marvel one is very Marvel art. The art on the DC one is very DC art. And I tend to like the vibe and the feel and the style of DC art better. So,
and also Jorge Jimenez is just like artist of the year. So, there's that. This is pretty peak. I think both of these are really well done. I prefer the DC one for multiple reasons, mainly the Jorge Jimenez art. Also, I like the story better. It feels more like we could continue with this continuity kind of if we're setting up a Superman Spider-Man series, like a first issue. That's what it reads like. Versus the Marvel one reads like, hey, this is a big spectacle. Yeah, we're gonna put the Venom symbiote on Superman. Yeah.
This is like how can we make this the most like please buy our stuff as possible.
Yeah, and they're like throwing all the cameos in there.
Yeah.
And also I just think the DC backups are better.
Yeah. The DC one is more of a proper story in its own right, and each of the backups are as well, versus the Marvel one is just an ad using the DC names to get people to be more likely to buy their stuff.
And also the DC one has two of probably the best backup stories ever, which is Superboy Prime and the Amazing Spider-Man from Priest and Samper, and
love Superboy Prime.
John Kent, Ben Parker from Lemire and Sandoval.
Oh, yes.
Which I think in our first video, with the DC one, noted was
insane.
So excellent.
I love that.
It is a fantastic book. Also, I want to see Lemire on more characters, like more mainstream characters. I know he's doing Absolute Flash, but
what do you think is the best of these three? Which is the best? And which is what's your ordering?
Oh, so without the nostalgia for like how massive the first crossover is, I would say that's number 2, but that's not how I would rank them. I would rank them original, Superman, Spider-Man from DC, Spider-Man, Superman from way down, Spider-Man, Superman from Marvel, like a couple tiers down. Like if it's S tier and A tier, then the Spider-Man, Superman one's in C tier.
Interesting.
But without the nostalgia, I would probably put Superman, Spider-Man as top.
Interesting. Well, I will put Superman, Spider-Man, then the original Superman versus the Amazing Spider-Man, and then I will put the Spider-Man, Superman. But I don't think that the Spider-Man, Superman Marvel side is so far down. If it was like SAB, I think that fits SAB tier. I wouldn't put it like a million tiers below. It's objectively not as good.
Anyway, with that being said,
those are our ratings.
Those are our rankings of these. It finishes a trilogy, guys.
I guess we haven't given a rating of the original one yet. What's your rating for it out of stars? 5 stars.
5 stars. It's 5 stars.
You would give it 5 stars?
I would give it 5 stars for what it is. If I'm grading it in context of the time, it's 5 stars. Like, it's one of the best issues I've ever read from the 70s.
I'd say 4.5.
If we adjust for inflation, it's like 9.2.
Okay.
It's only like, it's not even a full point down.
Yeah.
It's still
I would
quality.
definitely say 4.5 stars. Because I would probably, I don't know exactly what I did, but I'd probably give like the order of the Superman, Spider-Man as 5 stars, then the Superman versus the Amazing Spider-Man at 4.5, and then 4 stars for Spider-Man, Superman.
That's
something like that.
That's a fair evaluation. Shout out some writers that we want to see write more. First of all, Christopher Priest, give him some more DC stuff. Shout out Jeff Lemire, give him more stuff. I want to see him write The Incredible Hulk, because he's written exactly one issue of Hulk, which I've read, and is probably my favorite issue of Hulk ever, and is a one-shot. And it's clear that he's the best writer that's understood the Hulk since, like, Jeff Loeb was actually a good writer back in the 2000s. So, like, give him the Hulk, please. Marvel, I plead with you. I know that Philip Kennedy Johnson's Infernal Saga is about to end, and give Jeff Lemire the Hulk.
Well, that will be our shout out for today then.
Drink Jeff Lemire. Tag
drink
Jeff Lemire in the video.
Our drink shout out is Jeff Lemire.
He didn't reply to my question in his creator AMA, which makes me slightly mad at him, but he's still one of the most talented authors.
I feel personally offended that some guy didn't respond to a million comments asking him something.
Well, Paul Jenkins responded to my comment.
Oh, well,
the guy that created the Century.
Good for you.
I
actually do like the Century, so that's kind of cool. But
it is really neat.
Yeah. Overall, we're definitely glad that they honored the 50th anniversary of that original one.
Better,
and
they're celebrating the 50th anniversary better than they are celebrating some other 50th anniversaries that Marvel has and DC has.
Yeah,
because that they are this year that they're not doing things for.
Yeah. So let us know if we should cover any of the other crossovers that happened. There were a few, but these were the main ones that we wanted to get and, talk about all 3 in one video, as well as 2 of them in their separate videos.
With that being said, shout out OJ Simpson if you're drinking orange juice. Shout out to you. But good morning, good evening, and good night.
God bless.
Bye-bye.